In our last session, one of our members wrote the following letter.
Dear Greg, several years ago, we found out that my brother is a drug addict. He quit working and now he spends his time in and out of rehab centers. It's embarrassing. When he spends his time with the family, which isn't that often, we don't know what to talk about. We have a pretty normal family, so we don't understand how he could turn out like this.
I suggested to you in our last session that we can become addicted to anything that makes us feel good in the absence of sufficient real love. Drugs, alcohol, praise, power, success, and so on. Almost certainly, your brother has not felt unconditionally loved, and now he's using drugs to eliminate the pain of that condition. You said you were embarrassed by his choice, but I suggest that instead you consider two important things here. First, his addiction is no worse than the addictions almost all of us have to power, praise, and so on, as we discussed earlier. Many of us think we don't have an addiction, but look at the women, for example, who devote so much time and attention to their appearance in order to win the attention and approval of others. Every year, billions of dollars are spent on cosmetics, clothing, hair, and plastic surgery so that people can feel attractive and accepted by others. It's a real compulsion. If you doubt that, imagine what would happen if you asked an average group of women to get out of bed in the morning and go straight out in public without touching their hair or makeup. Not likely. Let's look at another addiction so common that we virtually never even see it. I'm talking about our need to be right in our conversations with others. We're afraid that if we admit that we're wrong, we'll look stupid and we'll lose the praise and power that make us feel better in the absence of real love. When we're forced to be wrong, the discomfort of withdrawal is just as real as that suffered by any heroin addict without his drug. How often do we do things so that other people will like us? Praise and approval are very common addictions, almost universal. How many of us complain and look for sympathy and support when we think that we've been treated unfairly? In that case, we're addicted to acting like victims and to blaming other people for the things that go wrong in our lives. Your brother's addiction isn't any worse than these others that are so common among us that we scarcely notice them. His is just more visible. Second, your brother's addiction is a response to a lack of sufficient real love in his life. And the responsibility for that almost always lies with the family. Now, I'm sure that you and the rest of the family haven't intended to be unloving toward him. But you said that you were all embarrassed about his choices. And that embarrassment proves that your primary concern here is for yourselves, for your reputation, for your convenience, and so on, rather than for him. That is not unconditionally loving. And it's that lack of real love that is causing your brother the most pain. Your brother's behavior certainly isn't right, but it surely is an understandable response to the pain in his life. And once we understand that all addictive behaviors are reactions to feeling unloved, the solution to addiction is obvious. Addicts need to tell the truth about their behavior and create opportunities to receive from the rest of us the real love they need. We need to remember that most of us are addicts, and one addiction is not superior to another. Then we need to offer addicts our acceptance and love rather than our criticism, our disgust, and our embarrassment. If you want to help your brother, you need to quit communicating to him, as you do now, in hundreds of ways, some subtle, some not, your disapproval. Ask him about his life. Invite him into yours. Love him. And no, he won't take that as condoning his behavior. I promise you, he already knows that what he's doing is wrong. If your brother can feel enough real love from you and others, he won't be empty and afraid anymore. And then he'll have no need to use drugs or anything else to numb his pain. Now that may take time. More times than I can count, I have seen fear, anger, and pain vanish in the presence of real love. People with real love feel peaceful and happy. They learn to love their spouses, children, and friends. Love really is the answer to addiction. Addressing addiction without understanding the importance of real love is utterly futile, like approaching the problems of a drought without talking about water. It really is always about real love.